organs and organs form the organ system.
Correct. So this is how it goes. From the cells, we get the tissues. From the tissues, we get the organs. And then from the organ, we get the organs. Okay. Now see, earlier when we saw that only cell was there was one duty which the cell has to perform, isn't it? But as soon as more and more the number of cells increased, it means that some way our duties can be divided, isn't it?
Yeah.
Our duties can be divided. Like how, for example, if you live alone in your house, then you are the only one who has to do all the work. But then when other people are there, you can divide the work, isn't it? You can, like, one person can do one thing, then you can do one thing. It means that there would be a division of labor. Labor means work. Okay. Same thing happens from the cells. When the tissues are formed, there is a clear-cut division of labor. It means that the work is divided. Some cells will perform this particular work and the other cells would perform the other work. Clear? So when tissues are formed, there is a division of labor. Division of labor means division of work. Is it clear? Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Now, let us see what are some of the examples of the tissues. So, blood, the phloem, the muscles, all of these are different tissues. Okay. Even blood is a tissue. Okay. It is a fluid tissue. Okay. It is a fluid, meaning in a liquid state. So, it is a fluid tissue. Then there is phloem. Phloem, do you know phloem and xylem?
No, ma'am, I don't know.
Okay. What about you, Prashita? Do you know phloem and xylem? See, phloem and xylem are the two conducting tissues of the plants. Okay, conducting tissues means those are the tissues that are responsible for the transportation of water and food in the plant. Okay, xylem and phloem. So xylem is there for the transport of water. Okay, so xylem transports water. Okay, and the phloem, it transports the food. Is it clear? So the xylem and phloem, these are the conducting tissues of the plants. But we have to see that these are the tissues. Is it clear? So the blood, the phloem, the muscles are some of the examples of tissue zone. Okay. Now, moving forward, let us talk about the animals. Okay. Now, in the case of animals, since animals are mobile meaning we can move from one place to another, isn't it? You can move from one place, I can move from one place to another, then all the dogs, cats, everything, they can move from one place to another. So the tissues present in the animals, these are very different from the tissues that are present in the plants, isn't it? Why? Because plants cannot move, isn't it? Plants cannot move from one place to another. They have to be at one place. So the tissues in the plants are much different as compared to the tissues in animals. So in the case of animals, the tissues are mostly living. Do you know what is the meaning of a living tissue? What is a living tissue?
It's like brain or something like that. Inside the brain.
See, a living tissue is that tissue that is actively dividing, that is actively performing all the bodily functions. Okay, meaning protoplasm is present in it. Protoplasm, you understand? Protoplasm.
Protoplasm is the living part of a cell.
It is. You can also call it as the cytoplasm, isn't it? It is the plasmic, the fluid thingy which is there in the cell, and it makes the cell live. It makes the cell, or calls the cell, the living cell. Why? Because protoplasm is there. So a cell which has the protoplasm will be called as a living cell. A cell which does not have protoplasm will be called as a dead cell. Okay, dead cell or dead tissue. Okay.
Okay.
Now, when we are talking about the growth in animals, okay, so like for us humans only or for dogs and cats, they grow up till a point and then after that they stop growing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Is it the case that us humans keep on growing like trees and finally reach the sky? Is that the
No.
case? No, right? Are you
No.
sure? Are
Because
you
the
feeling-
meristematic tissues turn into permanent tissues.
But not in the case
Uh,
of animals. Meristematic
yeah,
tissues are not there
in the
in animals.
case of plants.
Hmm. Is there anybody here who is as tall as the tree or even more taller? Hmm?
Like any living organism.
No. Any one of you. Are you as tall as the tree?
No.
No. Are you ever going to be as tall as the tree?
No.
No.
No, right? I hope so. Nobody is as tall as the tree. So this is the reason why, because our height is fixed. Okay, up till a certain mark, we will grow. And after that, we will not grow. Okay,
Yeah.
so the height or the growth of the animals is determinate. We know that we will grow up till this mark and then we won't grow. And it is fixed because we cannot keep on growing all through our life. We'll stop growing at one point, isn't it? But in the case of plants, the height does not stop. It keeps on going and going and going. The plants, you must have seen trees, big trees are there. So the trees are so big, is the reason is that the tissues, they keep on dividing. Okay. Now, since plants are immobile meaning they cannot move from one place to another. They are fixed at one place. So the tissues or the supportive tissues of the plants are usually dead. Okay. And they are dead because of one more reason. Since the plants, they have to, like, for example, if this is the soil, so the plants, they have to stand upright from the soil, isn't it? They can't go beneath the soil. The roots are there beneath the soil, but the body of the plant is always above the soil, isn't it? And it has to stay upright, meaning it has to stay straight. So this is the reason why many of the tissues of the plants are usually dead, because as soon as the tissues become dead, they provide mechanical and structural support. Okay, so you can write that dead tissues provide mechanical and structural support. This is the reason why the tissues in the plants are usually dead. Understood? And also, apart from that, the type of growth in the plant is indeterminate as compared to animals. Indeterminate means that it is not fixed. Okay, it means that the plant will keep on growing and growing forever. And it is obviously not fixed. Is it clear up till now?
Yes, ma'am. It's clear.
Okay. Now let us talk about the plant tissues. Okay. So the plant tissues are of two types. Okay. First type of tissues are meristematic tissues. Okay. Meristematic tissues are there. And then there is permanent tissues. Two types of tissues are there in plants. Meristematic tissues and then there is permanent tissues. Now, talking about the meristematic tissues. So these are present at the growing areas of the plant. Okay, all those areas of the plant that are growing, those tissues have meristematic tissues in them. Okay, and what is one property of meristematic tissue? It is that it keeps on dividing. Okay, it keeps on dividing. It has the capability of division. So further, the meristematic tissue is of three types. The first one is apical meristem. Okay. Then there is intercalary. And finally, there is lateral meristem. Okay. And these meristems are present because of they are named because of their position. Okay. All of the names, meaning the apical name, the intercalary name, or the lateral name, the names are given according to the position they are at. Okay. The apical meristem, they are present at the apex. That is why the name is apical. Okay. The lateral meristem, it has a sideways position, a side position. That is why the name lateral meristem is given. Okay. So this is the reason why, like, the each and every single meristem which are there, these are named according to the position they are present. Is it clear? Is it clear?
Yes, ma'am. It's clear. Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Very good. Now let us talk about the apical meristem. Now, as I told you that the apical meristem is present at the apex. Most importantly, it is present at the shoot tip, meaning the tip of the stem, and the root tip, meaning the tip of the root. So what is the position of apical meristem? Tell me, what is the position?
At the tip of the shoot and the root to make the plant grow.
So
Taller.
the position, yeah. So the position of the meristem is apical, wherein it is at the tip of the stem and at the tip of the root. Now, what is the function of apical meristem? It increases the length of the stem and the root. Okay. The characteristic feature of apical meristem, or meristem in general, as I told you, is that it keeps on dividing and dividing. Okay. So wherever they are present, it will like divide and increase the number of cells, and because of that, the length will increase. So if we are talking about the apical meristem, it means it is present at the tip, so it will divide at the tip. Now, if something is present at the tip of the stem, so the stem length will divide, it will increase, and if something is present at the root, so the length of the root will increase. So one length will increase downwards and one length will increase upwards. Is it clear?
Yeah.
Is the position of the apical meristem clear to you?
Yes.
And
Ma'am,
function?
actually, I didn't understand clearly. Can you just explain me again?
Yes. See, apical, you understand? Apex, you understand? Apex. For example, if this is my finger, okay, this is the apex. This is the apex. Okay, the tip part will be the apex. So the apical meristem, it is present at the tip of the stem, okay, and it is present at the tip of the root. So what is the function of this? It actively performs the cell division, and if it is present at the stem tip, so it will divide here and then the tip will elongate, meaning the stem length will increase. And if it is present, for example, here below the level of the soil, so it is present at the root, so it will divide there and the root will elongate. So the length of the root will increase. So what is the function? It increases the length of the stem and the root. Is it clear now?
That's clear, ma'am.
Now let us talk about the lateral meristem. Okay. Now the lateral meristem is present at the lateral portion of the whole plant body. Meaning if for example, this is the plant body, then the lateral meristem will be present at the sides here. Okay. Understood? And one example of the lateral meristem is cambium. Okay. If somebody asks you, what is a cambium? So you will say
it's
it is a lateral
the function
meristem.
of lateral cambium is to increase the breadth of the trunk or the stem.
Yes. So the lateral meristem, if somebody asks you what is cambium, you will say cambium is a lateral meristem. And then when you will say what is the function of lateral meristem, so it increases the girth. Okay. And girth means the breadth or the thickness. Okay. So the lateral meristem, it increases the girth, or you can say the breadth, or you can say the thickness. All means the same, isn't it? So it increases, you can say, you can call it girth also, you can call it breadth also, you can call it thickness also. So what is the function of lateral meristem? It increases the girth, breadth or thickness of the stem or the root. Is it clear? Is it clear to everybody? Tell
Yes,
me.
ma'am.
Now talking about the intercalary meristem. So these intercalary meristem, these are like present near the nodes, and node is the region from where leaves arise. Okay. For example, if this is your flower, okay, very bad flower, and if this is your stem, so the point, and this is from where the leaf. So this point, okay, this particular point from where the leaves are arising, this will be called as the node. Okay, understood? The point from when the leaves arise, these are known as the node. So what they do, they are like present, the cells of the intercalary meristem, these are present at the node, okay, near the node. And what is a node? Node is the region from where the leaves arise. Is it clear?
No, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
See, Rima, look at the diagram. I have drawn a flower, okay? And the point from where the leaves are coming out, arising meaning coming out, okay? So the point from where the leaves come out, these are known as the node, okay? This point is known as the node, and the intercalary meristem, we are talking about the meristem now. So the meristem that is present at the nodes, this position, okay, the meristem which is present at this position, it will be known as the intercalary meristem. Is it clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Now you get it? Why? Where it is present? So it is present at the node area. And now you know what is a node area? What happens
Yeah.
at the node, Rima?
Where is the node?
What happens at the node?
It will be, like, it will grow.
Yeah, leaf formation, or like the leaves arise from the node. Okay. Now, let us talk about the characteristic feature of the meristematic tissues. Characteristic features meaning what define, what are the characters or the speciality about the meristematic tissues. So the first thing that you will have to know is that they are very active tissues. Okay. So the meristematic tissues are very active. Then they have a dense cytoplasm. Okay, the cytoplasm which is present in the the meristematic tissues, it is very dense. Dense means thick. Okay. Also, the meristematic tissues are not dead tissues. Always remember, these are the living tissues. Okay. Meristematic tissues are the living tissues. They have a dense cytoplasm and they have a thin cellulose wall. Okay, the cell wall is made up of cellulose and they have a prominent nuclei. Okay, the nucleus which is there in the meristematic tissue, it is prominent. Prominent meaning you can easily see the nucleus of that cell or that tissue. Okay, easily visible. So that is a prominent nuclei. And the meristematic tissues do not have vacuoles. Okay, they have no vacuoles. Understood?
Yeah.
So this was all the characteristic features of the meristematic tissue. Is it clear?
Yes, ma'am. It's clear.
Okay. Is there like any doubt in whatever I've taught up till now? If you have, tell me your doubts and then we'll move forward. Tell me, Prashita.
Still, no
Yes.
doubts, ma'am.
No doubts? Okay. Prashita, what about you?
Yes, ma'am.
No doubts? Okay, now if no doubts, let's move forward. We'll talk about the permanent tissue here. Okay, we'll talk about the permanent tissue. Now see, there are many a times what happens, the tissues, they divide and finally after a while, they lose their ability to divide. Okay, the meristematic tissues now finally they are dividing, and then when they are given a specific role, Okay, when one tissue is given a specific role and then they lose the ability to divide. Okay, so this forms a permanent tissue. Okay, a permanent tissue is formed when a cell loses its ability to divide. Is it clear?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Now what happens? Then that particular tissue which loses the ability to divide, it becomes a permanent tissue. So you can write
Yeah.
under the permanent tissues, the tissues which have lost the ability to divide are known
Permanent.
as,
Yeah.
yes, known as the permanent tissue. Rishita, when are you switching on your video? Do you not want to?
No, ma'am, it's just that I have the issue, like, that's why.
Okay. So these are known as the permanent tissues, and they have a specific role to perform. You can also write down that they have a specific role to perform. Is it clear? This is like something about the permanent tissue, meaning when the tissues have lost the ability to divide, they are known as the permanent tissues.
Permanent tissues.
Yes,
The
and they,
meristematic tissues which lose the ability to divide are known as the permanent tissues.
correct. Now see, the whole process from which when the tissue, you can say that when a tissue takes a permanent shape, shape, size and function. Okay, whenever a tissue takes up a permanent shape, size and function, it is called as differentiation. This whole process wherein a tissue will take a permanent shape, it will take a
It's
permanent
called
size.
differentiation.
Yes, it is known as differentiation. Understood?
Yeah.
Ma'am,
Yes, tell me.
ma'am, what you have read is really before, I don't see. Can you just write it?
Yes, yes. Is it visible now? You can note it down.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Done? Did you write down this one? Differentiation definition?
Yes, ma'am.
Now see, because of this differentiation, this process, okay, because of this process, what happens? There is different types of permanent tissues present, okay, because of this process of differentiation. So differentiation, you can see that the differentiation leads to the formation of different permanent tissues. Okay, so the different types of permanent tissues, these are formed by the process of differentiation only. Okay, different types of permanent tissues. Is it clear?
Yes, ma'am.
So the differentiation finally leads to the formation of different types of permanent tissues. Is it clear now? Now, see the permanent tissues, okay, the permanent tissues are of two types. Okay, these are of two types. The two types, the first one is the simple permanent tissue. Okay, the simple permanent tissues. Then there is complex permanent tissue. Complex permanent tissues. So these are the two types of permanent tissues. Okay.
Okay.
Yes. Now, the most see, this is how the simple, the complex one, it is defined on the basis of the organization that it has. Okay. A simple permanent tissues, it has a few cells present, a few tissues are there, and it has a simple organization. But if you'll talk about the complex, it has a complex organization. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Talking about the simple permanent tissues, so
They have only one type of cells.
yes, correct.
And in the complex tissues,
Hmm.
there are many types of different cells which combine to form or to do a task.
Yes. For example, if we'll talk about the simple permanent tissue, only one type of tissues will be present entirely. One type of cells will be present entirely, which will be forming the whole tissue. Okay, only one type. And in the case of complex, different types of cells will be together to form the tissues. Okay, so here you can say,
So just can you say what you have done before?
what?
I just want to see what you have written before.
I have written it before. Or you want to see what I've written
Yeah,
before?
yeah.
Even before this?
Wait a second, just. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and this one you've written?
Yeah.
Okay. So only one type of cells are present, okay, in the case of the simple permanent tissue, and more than one type of cells. Okay, more than meaning different types of cells are present in the case of the complex permanent tissue. Rima, you have created a yellow line on my screen. Can you rub it off?
There, ma'am.
Here.
Okay, I will say, I'm sorry.
Yeah, just erase it off because I can't do it from my system.
Sorry, madam.
Yeah, now it is clear. Okay. Now, see, in the simple permanent type, okay, there are like a few layers of cells which are beneath the epidermis. Okay, epidermis, you understand? Epidermis is sort of like the outermost layer of the cell, outermost layer of the plant, which is known as the epidermis.
Epidermis. Yeah.
Yes, it is the outermost layer. Okay. So a few layers of cells which are present just beneath the epidermis, meaning these cells are present just below the epidermis. Those are generally simple permanent tissues. Okay. Meaning where are they present? They are present beneath the epidermis, and epidermis is the outermost layer of the plant. Okay, so beneath the epidermis, there are many the layers of cells are there, and those are the generally simple permanent type. Okay, and what is one example of simple permanent tissue? So you can write parenchyma. Okay, Parenchyma, it is a simple permanent tissue. Okay, it is the most common example of the simple permanent tissue. Are you getting it, Rima?
Actually not now.
Tell me where is the confusion? What confusion you have? Tell me. Which part are you not able to understand?
The one is with the only one type of cells, and from there I'm not able to understand.
From here, one type of cells. From here.
Yeah,
Okay. See,
like
the reason why simple permanent tissues are known as simple, okay, the reason they are simple is because they have only one type of cells. For example, if a tissue is there which contains 10 cells, okay, for example, this is a tissue, okay, inside this tissue there are 10 cells. Now if the now, okay, wait. Now, can you tell me what is the difference between 1 and 2? Seema, tell me.
in first the cells are same, and in second it's different.
Yes, you can see that the cells
Yeah.
are different in the second case and they are all the same in the first case. So this first case is of simple permanent tissue. Okay, simple permanent tissue are made up of one type of cells only. Meaning, like how here all the cells are equally and how they are same way in the case of simple permanent tissue, all the cells are of one type only. But here when you can see that different kinds of cells are there, then this is the case of complex permanent tissue, wherein all the cells are of different shapes and sizes. Now is it clear?
Yes.
Now, after this, you have to know that the simple permanent tissue, where they are present, so the location is beneath the epidermis. Okay, and epidermis is the outermost layer of the plant body. So where are the simple permanent tissues present? They are present beneath the epidermis. And parenchyma is the most common example of simple permanent tissue. Okay, parenchyma is the most common example. Understood? Now you've understood? Tell me.
Yeah, understood, but I didn't understood
Like what?
not so clearly.
What?
I didn't understand clearly.
Parenchyma.
Yeah.
Parenchyma is the name of a tissue. Okay. It is a name. Like how I told you phloem was a tissue. Do you remember? Phloem was a tissue, xylem. So same way, parenchyma is the name. There is nothing to understand here. Okay. There is no meaning of the word. It is a name. Okay. So it is a name of a tissue. Parenchyma is a name of a tissue. And it is the name of the most common type of simple permanent tissue. Okay. Yes, very good. Now let us talk about these like what are the cells inside, like okay, what they do. Okay, so they have thin cell wall. First of all, thin cell walls are there. Okay, for all the cells of the simple permanent tissue, the cell walls are thin. Okay, now these are living cells, meaning protoplasm is present. So these are the living cells. Whenever I say living, you automatically have to understand that there is protoplasm or the cytoplasm is present. Okay. And whenever I say dead cells, so they won't have the protoplasm or they won't have the cytoplasm. Is it clear? What is the meaning of living? Living cells mean? Living cell means what? The
The
protoplasm is
which,
present.
yeah, the
Hmm.
which, the cells which have the protoplasm.
Yes, the cells which will have the protoplasm will be known as the living cells. And the cells that don't, what will we call them, Rima?
Once again, ma'am, I don't know.
The cells that do not have the protoplasm, you will call that what kind of cells?
Uh, I'm sorry, I don't know.
You know it. See, the protoplasm, when it is there, we call it living cells. So when the protoplasm is not there, what will we call it? What is the opposite of living? Something which is not living, it is,
Dead, permanent tissues.
isn't it, dead tissues, okay? So
Okay.
anything that does not have the protoplasm, it will be dead, okay? Is it clear? So the cells of the simple permanent tissue will have thin cell walls. They are all living, meaning protoplasm is there, and they are loosely arranged. Okay, they are loosely arranged cells. Is it clear? Loosely arranged cells are there. Also, intercellular spaces. Okay, intercellular spaces will be present. Okay, intercellular spaces will be present in between the cells. Okay, intercellular spaces meaning the space between the two cells. Okay, meaning each cell will have some spaces in between them. For example, if everything is compactly arranged, then there will be no space in between them, isn't it? But here in this case, intercellular spaces will be present between the cells. Okay, is it clear? And there is another point is that this type of tissue, this stores food. Okay, this type of tissue stores food. So these are the characteristic features or the different features of the simple permanent tissues. So they have thin cell walls, they have living cells present, the cells are loosely arranged, there is the presence of intercellular spaces. Since intercellular spaces are there, this is the reason why the cells are loosely arranged, isn't it? They are randomly placed. Spaces are present in between the cells. And this type of tissue, it stores the food. Food storage is the function. Is it clear? The whole characters are clear to you? Tell me.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, in the case wherein the parenchyma, okay, when the parenchyma, you can like write when the parenchyma contains the green pigment, called the chlorophyll. It is known as
Chlorenchyma.
it is known as the chlorenchyma. Okay, the parenchyma that contains the chlorophyll. Okay, you can tell by the name only, chlorin, isn't it? Chlorophyll, chlorenchyma. So the parenchyma that contains the chlorophyll, and chlorophyll is the green pigment. So this type of parenchyma is known as chlorenchyma. Is it clear? It is known as chlorenchyma. Now, this is in the case where the parenchyma also performs the process of photosynthesis, isn't it? Because chlorophyll is there for the photosynthesis. Now, in the case of some aquatic plants, okay, In aquatic plants, meaning the plants that live in the water. Okay, in the
They
case
have
of
the parenchyma.
in the aquatic plants, large air spaces. Okay, large air spaces are present. Okay, large air spaces are present in the parenchyma. Okay, which makes them the aerenchyma. Okay, it is called as the parenchyma. Okay, the parenchyma that contains the air spaces will be called as the aerenchyma, and the parenchyma that contains the chlorophyll will be called as the chlorenchyma. Is it clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Is it clear to you also, Rima?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, very good. Now let us talk about another plant tissue which is known as the collenchyma. Collenchyma. Now, Prashita, can you tell me something about the collenchyma?
Ma'am, it's present in the soft parts of the plant and it helps the plant to be more flexible
Correct. The collenchyma is
and
usually
avoid
present.
breakage.
Yes, it presents like it is there in the those part of the region that makes it soft. So, for example, if the plant ever has to bend or it ever bent, so it will bend without breaking. So, collenchyma is there for this particular reason, so that the plant does not break while bending. Is it clear? For example, like the climbers are there. Okay.
Yes, ma'am. And
Yes.
they are mostly present in the internodes and the nodes and the base of the leaf.
And mostly like see for the example like tendrils and climbers are there, so they have to climb a surface. So if their their like bodies will be brittle, so as like for example if they have to climb this wood surface, so as soon as they will move the body will break, isn't it? So this is the reason why collenchyma is there, so that when the climber is doing its like taking the support, as soon as it bends or moves like this, it does not break. Okay, it bends without breaking. This is why the collenchyma, this permanent tissue, is there. And how will you define like the cells of the collenchyma? So you can say that these you can find it beneath the epidermis only. Okay, the position is like beneath the epidermis, and you can say these are living cells. Okay, uh, Rima, tell me what is the meaning of living cells? Tell me now also you have a confusion. Tell me. Rima.
Oh, ma'am, sorry, why? Okay, my mic was muted. Ma'am, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you. See,
What do
I was asking you what do you mean by the living cells?
Correct. Okay. Living cell.
Living cells, see. Living cells are those cells that have the presence of protoplasm. Okay. Protoplasm means cytoplasm. Do you have difficulty in the word protoplasm? Okay. Protoplasm or the cytoplasm are the same thing only. Okay. So those cells that have the protoplasm are known as the living cells. So the first is living cells, and then they have elongated cells. So the collenchyma, the cells present in them are elongated, meaning long cells are there, and these cells are irregularly thickened at the corners. They have thickenings present at the corner of the cells. Okay, and you can also say there is very little intercellular space. Very little. मैं उससे पेमेंट के लिए intercellular space. Okay, meaning in between the two cells, the space is very less. Okay, less space is given in the case of collenchyma. Is it clear? Okay, so collenchyma is the second type of simple permanent tissue. Okay, first was parenchyma.
And then we have
there is
sclerenchyma.
Yes, and then we have sclerenchyma. Is it clear, Rima? You can note these things down. Yes, you can note it down.
ओके नहीं आएगा यार मुझे आप पे कंप्लीटली भरोसा है यार फाइन भाई एक कम कर देंगे कम करेंगे काम कोई भी करेंगे यार मुझे आप कंप्लीटली
You can mute your mic. Rima, mute yourself. Yes. Yes. You're done? Okay, very good. So this was all about your collenchyma. So always remember that your simple permanent tissue has three types of tissues. Parenchyma, which we have discussed. Then we have discussed collenchyma. And the next that is yet to be discussed, it is the sclerenchyma. Okay, the third type of simple tissue is sclerenchyma. Okay, it is the third type of like simple permanent tissue, and in this type of tissue is particularly there, like how collenchyma was there to make the plant flexible, but sclerenchyma is there to make the plant hard and stiff. It does not promote flexibility, rather it makes the plant stiff. Understood? So that is why sclerenchyma is there. Okay,
It makes the plant rigid.
stiff means rigid only. Okay, so it makes the plant stiff, or you can say rigid, or you can say and it also makes the plant hard. Okay, so sclerenchyma, it performs the function to make the
Of
plant
providing the mechanical and the structural support.
and this is the reason why the plant is stiff, the plant is hard. Why? Because it has a mechanical tissue present.
Yeah.
Okay, so that a
Yes.
structural framework is there. Okay, when
Yeah.
a structural framework is there, it means that the plant will not bend like this. It will not like, but if you take this plant part and you try to break it, then it will easily break, isn't it?
Yeah.
Why? Because it is hard and stiff. And if you break something that is hard and stiff, then it easily breaks into two parts. But if you try to break something flexible, it does not break into two parts easily, isn't it?
Yeah.
Now you have to remember that the cells
It has no intercellular spaces.
no intercellular spaces are there. Also, the cells are dead here. Okay, cells are dead, meaning no protoplasm is there, no intercellular spaces is there, and the cells are narrow also. Okay, so the cells are dead, cells are narrow, and no intercellular spaces are present. Okay, no intercellular spaces are present. Is it clear to everybody? Are the three simple permanent tissues clear to both of you?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Tell me, Rima, what is the problem? The sclerenchyma?
Yeah.
See, sclerenchyma is the third type of simple permanent tissue. Okay, simple permanent tissues are of three types: parenchyma, collenchyma, and sclerenchyma. We are talking about the third one, which is the sclerenchyma. Now,